Yo, what is going on? It is James, aka the Comic Raider, and I am back for what I hope to be a weekly series where I just review some trades that I have read. I'll try to get through this very quickly. So, I recently had a birthday, turned 33, and I wanted to do like a birthday resolution, right? Do something for this year instead of doing like a January 1st resolution. And what I decided is I I love my trades. I love my omnibus. I really want to push myself to read and read and read, but also give myself like a goal. And so I want to read or average a trade a week, trade paperback a week, or an omnibus a month. So if I feel like I want to dive into a character or a story arc, let me give myself a month to finish that omnibus. Maybe throw in some trades in between as well. But otherwise, I want to do a trade a week. I think that's very doable for me. For others, I'm sure you're like, oh, I could finish 5 in a week. That's great. But I can't. So, or not anymore. That's going to be the goal. But anyway, so I'm going to start off with a triple threat here because I have read a few different trades. And instead of like making content ahead of time like I should do, I'm just going to combine all these and we're just going to start fresh. I already have my next trade lined up. So we're going to start with this. What got me into wanting to start here was the Superman movie. I watched the Superman movie. I loved it. And it made me want to read some Superman stuff. So I revisited one that I was familiar with, which is the Superman Unchained from New 52 by Scott Snyder and Jim Lee. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I absolutely remembered that Jim Lee was the artist on this series. I totally forgot that Scott Snyder was the writer for this series. This is a very polarizing run from what I remembered and what I confirmed when I re-looked it up recently. Some people really like it. Some people think it's terrible. I fall in the middle. I more like it than I don't dislike it. I do like it. I don't love it. You know, if I were to say that Scott Snyder was going to write something with Jim Lee, you're probably, going to want some outstanding work of art, and you got great art, but the story's cool. Basically, now again, this is a work in progress. I read all these in the last couple weeks. So even my memory is already going to be shot, but this is exactly why I do this. So Superman Unchained is going to be a Superman story where there is a group kind of like they're basically electronic terrorists, right? They're attacking electronics and they're going after technology, that kind of stuff. And so, but you also have this very big part of the story in this guy right here, which is going to be revealed as being called Wraith. He is essentially think of like a Superman that landed 75 years prior to Superman himself. And he has been working for General Lane. So you're going to have a big, like, General Lane and Superman obviously always do not get along, and this story is no different. But the things that I like about it is, so Superman eventually learns of Wraith, right? There is some really awesome moments between Superman and Batman in this story, and that part I do love. And so anyway, so he's going to get involved, he's going to be introduced to Lane, and he's going to be introduced to this character, Wraith. Now, what I like about it is that Wraith is, again, he's got Superman's powers, but he's been doing it. And so he is stronger than Superman in a sense. He also knows how to use his powers better than Superman does. And I always really liked that about the story because he kind of teaches Superman how to better use them. And one example is, so here's like Superman fighting Wraith for the first time. And Wraith is like, it's cool because, he's working for General Lane, but you just know that he's just up to something, right? I didn't say this, but these reviews are going to be spoilers because I I make these reviews so that I can revisit this video later on when I want to remember what this story is like. So we're going to go over these books. I am going to spoil stuff, so but Wraith kind of teaches Superman how to use some of his powers, and that part I really do like. There's a part here where he teaches him how to use your power. So they have to like shoot down a bunch of ships. I'm trying to find it right now. They have to shoot down a bunch of ships, and great, Lex Luthor art. Lex Luthor is also involved. He's kind of also playing in the background here, and so he's telling Superman. Superman's saying like, "Oh, I can't go full blast to kill these things because I'm gonna hurt other people." And Wraith tells him, "Okay, then chop it. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go full blast with your beams. Go full blast, but then blink 100 times." And yeah, here it is. So he tells him, fire at max heat, 5,000 degree charge, and then blink at super speed to chop the beam. And so he does that. Very awesome art right there. And he's able to take them all out. Because, again, so it's, you're firing, it's like think of it like a minigun. A minigun with the most strongest, biggest bullet, right? So you're chopping it up. And then also Wraith at that moment uses a sonic blast, and he's telling him, like, you could do that too. Oh, also, Wraith at this point, we always talk about Superman having X-ray vision. Wraith can see everything, all the spectrums, because he's taught himself how to, whether that need to be ultraviolet or this or that, like, he can see the whole spectrum. He has learned how to do that. I don't think he like fully teaches Superman how to do that in this one. But that's the idea here with this. And then, of course there's a lot of other stuff going on, but like, this artwork with the Trinity right there. I mean, granted, Superman's a hologram, but yeah. And then so the bad guys, the what are they called? Ascension. Ascension is like the technology terrorists I was talking about. They unleash all the nuclear missiles. They fire off all the nuclear missiles on Earth, and Superman is obviously going to try and stop them, but Wraith is like, no, because that's going to. I love that cover. It's gonna. Ascension wants to restart the world. They feel like people like Superman and stuff like that have hindered natural human evolution, and so they're gonna kind of like restart. There may be someone watching this going like, that's totally not what this is about. I'm almost positive that's what this is about. Oh my god. This is why I'm going to finish these books and then immediately do content. I'm just going to keep it real. I just haven't had the urge to do content. So I did totally read this like 2-3 weeks ago, and I've already been kind of choppy, but pretty sure I have the general idea here still. But yeah, so there is a great moment where Wraith actually goes after Superman. And it is so good for Superman battling him. And, I mean, Batman's sending everything. He's sending all the Batmobiles after him. He's hiding in the dark, but he's telling him, like, you can't hide from me because I can see everything. Superman is trying to save Lois. She crashed. She was doing her own shit, and things went south. And so he's, like, busy saving her. But then there is this part where Lane has attacked Superman at the Fortress of Solitude, and Superman, this is when you get the real Unchained here, because he's going to put on his suit. And I love the design of this suit, but this is again gonna be where you might be like, okay, well, why? Oh, this is also I'm not gonna be able to grab it right now, but Todd McFarlane made a action figure of this. It was definitely one of the earlier Superman toys that he actually released. So if you think this is badass, there is a McFarlane DC Multiverse action figure of it. But here's the problem: is that it's not used for long. Where is... So Wonder Woman and Batman are fighting Wraith. Superman is busy trying to save Lois and also fight General Lane and all his people. But, like, so you have, it's Superman with a crazy-ass armor. He's got a shield like he's Captain America. He's got a hammer like he's Thor. He throws it. He destroys, like, all these machines that General Lane has. And he's just doing all kinds of stuff. So that's one double spread page, right? But then, right here, he's pretty much done with it. I mean, you get another double page spread of him using it a bit. I know my fingers are like totally covering up. But he's using it a bit. He's already got the helmet knocked off at this point. And then he goes after General Lane to find where the hell Wraith is at. And it's like, okay, so we're already done with the suit. So we got this badass suit, and now we're already done with it. But this was another awesome moment. Is just before Wraith is about to kill Batman, Superman just comes charging. Because he realizes that this is where Wraith was the whole time. And so he just, man. And he goes... what's the line here? Funny enough, a symbol. It stands for "you're about to have your ass kicked," and then Superman barges in, and then you get this really cool shot here, and then the next one's a cover. But yeah, so anyways, and then you just have a great fight between Superman and Wraith to end off. So I mean, there is a lot of action in it. It just kind of feels like, it's hard to explain. It's almost like there just wasn't enough of anything, right? You got a little bit of a lot of stuff. You got a bunch of appetizers, but you never got the main course. You never got that entree. And that's kind of how I would describe this book. But eventually, Superman takes him to fight down into the freaking core of Earth, between the upper and lower mantle. And that is where, so Superman says, most of our powers, they come from channeling electromagnetic energy. But you see, this deep, the magnetic force from the Earth's iron core is so strong, it can't help but interfere with all those fancy powers of yours. And so he tells him, basically put, this is now going to be a fair fight. And so it's just going to be them just beating the crap out of each other. And, so yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of action going on there. It's really good. Then Lex gets involved because, they still have to stop Ascension and all that kind of stuff. And there's also some backstory of Superman and his childhood in here too. And so that part was really cool. You also learn that Wraith is definitely had his own agenda. He wasn't just being General Lane's little toy, but it's pretty good. It's really good. And then I believe it ends with this, and then this is when Superman for the rest of New 52 is kind of more grounded, right, when he's in Smallville and all that kind of stuff. So, and then it ends really cool here because you just get a ton of, you get all the covers from all the different eras that they tried to pay their homage to, and then you get, of course, this type of stuff. You're used to this if you get omnibuses or hardcovers or whatever. So, I think it's a cool read. I think it's worth checking out. It's a little bit different. It gives you a little bit different for Superman. It is a little more Unchained. He gets to use his powers and that kind of stuff, but sure, is it going to be the greatest read you've read? No, not at all. It will leave some things to be desired still. So that got me on a Superman kick. So then I was like, you know what? I haven't read this before. I got this trade who knows when, but Superman versus Darkseid, a bunch of, mashups of the two of these two fighting each other. Darkseid's my favorite villain. And so I was like, you know what? Let me check this out, because I haven't read this before. So some of it I was familiar with. Some of these issues I was not. But, I mean, you start off with classic It now one thing I really did like about this is here we got Superman, right, and it's the crossover with Legends, chapter 17. You're gonna get like the 3 issues or 4 issues of this crossover, so you get like, yes, you get Superman and you get him fighting Darkseid, but you're also getting like the full story of this crossover. So it's not just, one thing. And this crossover was pretty crazy. I mean, Superman going to Apocalypse, then he kind of has his mind messed with, and he's like this champion for the people who are trying to fight back against Darkseid with this very interesting looking armor set here. And but then eventually he gets his and then he ends up being turned, and then he's really fighting for Darkseid. But then you end up with this awesome battle between him and Orion, and eventually Orion like knocks him some sense back into him, and Superman realizes that he's been being played this whole time, and so then he's gonna go after Darkseid, and you get him and Darkseid fighting. The artwork is also incredible for this, and he always beats Darkseid, but Darkseid always has to he always leaves, or surrender. I guess surrenders would be the word. He just kind of is like, fine, you beat me, and then he takes off, and like right here, Superman's gonna finish his ass off, and he's just like, nah, you not, no, you not. But yeah, so I liked that you got like that whole story. Then you had this one from I don't even know. It just I'm not sure which issue this is, but this era right here. So him and Darkseid fighting again. This is when he's going after Steel, or like the soul of Steel, because Steel is dead at this point. It's like his daughter or his niece or something like that is trying to like become the new Steel. But you also get an appearance by Doomsday, which is another one of my favorites. So I really liked this one. It is just Darkseid and Superman just throwing hands out in space, but then this Doomsday is going after like the daughter. I'm gonna say the daughter because I just simply don't remember. But you also have all the other versions of Superman or Supergirl and all that kind of stuff are also involved in this storyline, and it was just really good. And again, just seeing the two of them beat each other, and then this was another cool part. So you get the Batman Superman or Superman Batman series 12, and I think you get like 12, 13, and 14, and so that was really cool. So you get like this whole Supergirl arc, we'll call it, with the incredible Michael Turner artwork, where at first, dude, you also got Batman fighting Darkseid. The animated movie of this, I think, is very enjoyable, as is the comic book, of course. But Darkseid paying his respects to Batman, because he appreciates the lines that he's willing to, how far he's willing to go to save someone. But you get a few issues here, and oh man, I mean, just this moment of when they thought everything was good, and then Darkseid's like, no, dude. No, it is not. Darkseid's evil, man, and this trade will definitely give you a lot of, feeling towards that. The two of them fighting near the sun, I mean, just incredible. So, but like I said, you get a few different issues from that. So you get, like, you feel like you get the story, Then you also get some countdown to Final Crisis type stuff here. But this is enjoyable. And again, if you like these, so-and-so versus so-and-so, and you just want to see them kind of mash up against each other a bit, him versus Orion is always great. Those two going at it. You also got this Death of New Gods that they threw in here, which was also really cool. That was definitely like a cosmic, because this is Jim Starlin story right here. This is Superman trying to understand and be in the middle of all this crazy cosmic shit going on. And it feels like it's just on another scale. Again, Orion makes a lot of appearances in this whole thing. But yeah, it's a really good trade. If you just want, to see some really good battles between the two of these guys. You also get the Darkseid #1 from the New 52, so kind of like a little bit of an origin, we'll say. It's just great. It's a really good trade. I do recommend this. Now, the last trade, and then we'll get on out of here. So this trade then got me like, man, I'm on Darkseid right now. I read a couple of Superman things. Now I want some Darkseid. Water break. And I was like, you know what? I recently got this. I think I did the unboxing here on this channel. And Legion of Superheroes, The Great Darkness Saga. Never read this before. This is about the Legion of Superheroes. The Earth is in the 30th century. This is Legion of Superheroes 287 and 290 through 294, and Legion of Superheroes Annual #3. But one of these, like the final one, is like a huge, like 50-page epic book or something like that. It's a lot of reading, but it is really, really good. And the whole idea of this was the Legion had been going on for a long time at this point, and they had like introduced so many different characters and quote-unquote teams. These guys have like people in the reserves is what they call it. Like, they just have all these superheroes that are like, hey, if we need you, come here. But in the meantime, like, it's just a lot. There is a lot of freaking characters involved in this. And so the point of this story was to kind of basically bring everybody, whether it be OG team or newer team or just all of it. And, you get some Superboy in here, but really it's going to be a lot of characters that you maybe aren't very familiar with. But tons of different power sets and everything that's going on here. People with all different kinds of powers. I mean, there's so many characters I can't even begin to go over them all with you. But the idea being is that there is a person, you're not supposed to know, but let's face it, who is going after the darkness, and is using the darkness to kind of, whether it be clone and create these creatures, and then these creatures keep going after, whether it be members of the Legion or they're going after artifacts or whatever it be, to just continue to spread darkness. And if the darkness spreads, then he gets stronger and darkness will take over, and then it's a wrap for everybody. And so constantly though, the darkness, these monsters just beat the crap out of the Legion. I mean, these guys are getting their butts kicked the whole book. My standout character is Wildfire. His design, like a badass, like fireman, like he was so good. He's definitely like one of the stronger ones of the team. And then he's also kind of like, there's also there's some politics involved. They're all trying to fight for like who's going to be the leader of the team during this whole time, while you got, other members of their team getting their ass handed to them by these darkness monsters. And but yeah, Wildfire he's kind of like a jerk. He can be arrogant, he can be very just like, but he's strong as hell, and I love his design. There's also like Superman power set type characters here, like Mon-El, and I forgot the other guy's name, but there's a lot of characters here. And if you're like me and you have never read the Legion, then you're just like, okay, I can't really keep track of all these characters because there's so many being introduced. The Brainiac, Brainiac 5 was one I did know of. But yeah, there's a dude called Starboy, there's Dawnstar, there's just so many characters. One of the couples is having a baby. I mean, it's just, there is a lot going on here, but it's cool because, again, they're just bringing all these characters back, and just having all these different fights going on, and you're experiencing like all the different relationships with people. You also have, people with costumes, like, you might get that guy confused with that guy, but like I said, Wildfire for me was a highlight, and I would actually really like an action figure of him, to be honest. I think his design is great, and I really loved his character reading this series. So it's just a big build up. Again, all these characters just whooping. The Legion gets their butts kicked basically throughout this whole trade, as they're like, because they haven't come together. And then they finally kind of come together, as some of them get kidnapped because their Darkseid needs their powers. But you have some epic moments like that. I mean, big teams, big battles. There's just so much going on. You finally slowly get your build up to like the fact that it's Darkseid, which is just awesome, and you know, it's just great. And then but then they find this baby, and they get this baby that's supposed to like be their savior, and you're like, what the heck are you talking about? But I gotta hurry up here. So you get this baby, and then the baby like is growing at a rapid pace, and the baby ends up being the High Father, which if you're not familiar with like the New Gods lore, then I definitely would suggest that you get caught up there. But so you got the High Father, and so then you end up having this huge battle with High Father versus Orion and versus Darkseid, and it's just really freaking good. Eventually, they are able to succeed and take down Darkseid, but then he makes sure you also get Superman and Supergirl beating him up, and that's actually a really good battle right here. It's between them. But what I wanted to get to is like, so Darkseid eventually is beaten, and but he says, "I leave you my curse, Legionnaires. The curse of darkness growing within you, destroying you from within, and that which is purest of you shall be the first to go." And you're like, okay, the purest of you is going to be the first to go? Well, who would be the purest? A baby. A baby who hasn't been tainted and soiled from life yet. And so they have this baby, and then I forgot if the baby is like revealed in the series as already bad, or if it's basically just building up to like, yeah, that baby's gonna be something evil. Yeah, so then they have the baby, and she's talking, and the one who gives birth is like, I could have sworn that I felt two separate babies' thought patterns. Like, she was like, I thought that I had twins, but I guess not. But that's because Darkseid takes the baby before they even realize, because there's a moment where like all the power shuts off. So basically Darkseid takes the baby. They'll never know, will they, my child? Your mother, your father, even your twin. The darkness hid you from all them. The darkness has shrouded your birth. They'll never know that I have taken you, and if they had, they could not dream of what I shall do with you. They'll never recognize you. They shall never know you, or you shall never know them. And who knows, my little Validus, perhaps someday your own parents may even kill you. And then he's like, this is my curse fulfilled. So for me, it's just like, and then they recall back like, oh, if you remember, he told them, I leave you my darkness, and the purest of you shall be the first to go. So like, it just ends with Darkseid just reminding you that he is a bad mofo. But this is, again, really good. I knew nothing about these guys, and I really enjoyed this one, so I would definitely recommend it. It's like an epic, it's just an epic saga, like literally. The Great Darkness Saga is definitely the right word for it. It is going to be, you know, like I said, there's a lot of characters, there's a lot going on, but it's not like super confusing. And you know, let's face it, sometimes we all kind of want to see when we all kind of like the change up of a villain winning, right? Or at least like our superheroes not just completely dominating every battle. Like, these dudes, I've said this 5 times already, but these guys get their butts kicked most of this whole damn story. And it's great. It is great. And it's just cool. It's a nice refreshing of like new characters that you're not familiar with. And so yeah, I really enjoyed it. So that's going to do it for this wrap up of Superman and Darkseid stuff. Next is going to be Batman. I am currently reading Batman: A Death in the Family, and I'm going to run through like a ton of Batman trades, so we're going to do a lot of Batman reviews, but I will be dropping that next week will be the plan. So till next time, stay tuned for that. Comic Raider is out, baby. Deuces.